January 15, 2026, Thursday. 2:31 p.m., Sea of Japan, 38 nautical miles east of the NLL extension line, south-southeast of Wonsan. Winter haze. Low overcast at 1,800 feet. Sea state 3. Visibility 6 miles. 2 U.S. warships sit exposed in the gray, USS Chafee DDG, and USS Tulsa LCS, running a tight box patrol at 14 knots, 2.6 miles apart, radars rotating, flight decks cold. A small defended force at sea. No land cover. No depth. Only steel and reaction time. At 2:31 p.m., the first warning is a shimmer on the coastline, brief, vertical flashes on a ridgeline north of Wonsan, like someone striking matches in a storm. 81 artillery rockets lift almost at once. Not one launcher. Not two. A full battalion pattern. Multiple batteries, staggered tubes, pre-surveyed azimuths. The first tracks arc out over the water, flat and fast, then split into 3 altitude bands as they cross 20 kilometers offshore. This isn't harassment. This is a deliberate massed fire mission against 2 ships. On USS Chafee, the Combat Information Center goes from routine to red in under 2 seconds. Multiple inbound. Bearing 310. Range decreasing fast. The TO Lieutenant Commander Jason Park doesn't ask if it's training. He already knows. He keys the net. General quarters. Set condition zebra. Weapons tight until confirmed. Then the first rocket breaks the cloud base and starts its terminal dive. This wasn't a drill. The enemy thinks the sea is an empty killing ground. They think 2 ships can't run. They think saturation will force a withdrawal, and a propaganda win broadcast before any response can legally cross a border. Help is coming. Too late. They made 4 fatal mistakes. What happened in the next 39 minutes changed everything. This is that story. The Sea of Japan looks wide on a map. It isn't, when you measure it in missile time. From Wonsan to the patrol box is 38 nautical miles. From Simpo to the same box is 51. From Hodo Peninsula to open water is under 14. That means rocket artillery, guided or semi-guided, can reach ships before any political hotline finishes its first sentence. And these 2 ships aren't random. USS Chafee is an Aegis destroyer, Spy 1D radar, SM series interceptors ESSM CIWS, built to see and SWAT inbound threats. USS Tulsa is a literal combat ship, fast, flexible, and vulnerable if caught in a massed shore-based fire mission without air cover directly overhead. Together they form a sensor and screen pairing. One sees far, one moves fast, both provide presence. Presence is the point. 4 months, the pressure line had been tightening. Coastal artillery exercises pushed closer to maritime lanes, drone flybys near Allied islands, and live fire warnings declared over international waters with no notice. Every step was a test of ROE, of alliance coordination, of whether the US Navy would blink. The trigger today is a line crossed at sea. If rockets land within a ship's lethal envelope, it is not posturing. It is an attempted kill. At 2:31 p.m., the enemy believes they can fire 81 rockets, force the ships to retreat south, and then roll their launchers back into tunnels before anyone can target them. They're counting on 4 assumptions. Assumption 1. The ships will spend the first minutes purely defending, not building a land target solution. Assumption 2. US aircraft will be too far, too slow, trapped by weather and tanking constraints. Assumption 3. The launchers can shoot and scoot into hardened revetments and caves. Assumption 4. The response will be single point, 1 battery hit, while the rest survive. All 4 assumptions are wrong. At 2:32 p.m., the enemy execution timeline unfolds step by step. 2:32 p.m., Wonsan Coastal Belt. 9 launch platoons fire in 3 waves, 27 rockets, then 27, then 27, each wave separated by 18 seconds. The timing is deliberate. It's designed to overwhelm the destroyer's engagement planner, to force it to prioritize dozens of tracks that arrive in compressed clusters. 2:33 p.m., a coastal radar station near Tonkan radiates hard, brief burst, attempting to provide mid-course cues for the rockets that have correction fins. 2:33 p.m., 2 small UAVs launch from a beach strip, climbing to 1,200 feet to watch the ship's evasive patterns. 2:34 p.m., on the ships the air is suddenly mechanical. CIC voices flatten. No panic. Just procedure. On Chafee. Track count, 64 and climbing. Fast movers. Ballistic arcs. Low altitude. Recommend activate Nulka and engage with ESSM for leakers. On Tulsa. Range to nearest inbound, 14 nautical. Time to impact, under 90 seconds. Request permission to maneuver aggressively. Teo Park answers controlled. Tulsa, execute evasive. Keep your bow into the threat axis. Chafee will cover. At 2:34 p.m. the enemy thinks the win is already filming itself. But the US ships are doing something else while interceptors prep. They're collecting. Every rocket launch leaves a fingerprint, heat bloom, radar cue, electronic signature, and, most importantly, geometry. And geometry points back to the tubes. If you want the truth to reach people before propaganda edits the radar tapes, support it, hit like right now. Quiet support matters when the first shots are denied. 2:35 p.m., Defender crisis hits its peak. The first rocket wave enters terminal. 27 separate splashes are about to happen, unless the defense holds. Chafee's vertical launch cells don't fire like a machine gun. They fire like a metronome, fast, controlled, prioritized. 4 ESSMs up. Then 4 more. Then a pause, because you don't empty your magazine on the first wave if a second and third wave are already inbound. On Tulsa the crew sees the arcs. Not on screens, through the bridge glass. Faint streaks cutting down through cloud heading for the sea. 2:35 and 41 seconds p.m. First impacts hit the water short. 2 rockets splash at 400 meters off Tulsa's port quarter, columns of white water slamming sideways in the wind. The shock wave hits the hull like a punch. 2:35 and 58 seconds p.m. A rocket detonates in air, fragmenting, either intercepted or fuse failure, sending a spray of metal into the sea 200 meters from Chafee. The ship shudders. No breach. But it's close enough to feel the heat. This wasn't a drill. At 2:36 p.m., the distress call is transmitted. Not a voice broadcast, an automated incident burst from Chafee's combat system. Mass fires received plus coastal rocket artillery plus 81 tracks plus request counterfire authority. It hits the strike group network and the Combined Maritime Operations Center in under 8 seconds. A reply comes back with the tone of a blade. Rear Admiral Helen Rourke, call sign Trident Actual, doesn't waste words. Authority granted. Counter battery. Prioritize launchers and coastal radar. Minimize collateral. Confirm sites. Short. Professional. Decisive. At 2:37 p.m., the response machine wakes up. 2:37 p.m., from Kadena Air Base, 2 F-15E Strike Eagles. Call signs Blade 4 to 1 and Blade 4 to 2. Already on strip alert, spool up. They're airborne in 6 minutes. 2:38 p.m., from Misawa, a pair of F-16CMs. Call signs Raptor 2 to 1 and 2 to 2. Launch for SAD escort. 2:39 p.m., AP-8 Poseidon. Call sign Lantern. Turns from patrol to targeting support, climbing to 28,000 feet to widen its coastal scan. 2:40 p.m., AMQ-9 on a pre-planned orbit south of the DMZ, call sign Gray Fox, receives a divert, pushing north to extend eyes into the coastal belt. 2:41 p.m., a U.S. submarine in the area, call sign Not Spoken, reports, coastal launch signatures acquired. Ready for TLAM tasking. Meanwhile the ships are still. Under fire. 2:41 p.m., second rocket wave arrives. 27 more. Chafee deploys Nulka decoys, 2 launches, floating, screaming false targets across the surface. Tulsa turns hard, speed up to 38 knots, riding through the swells like it's trying to outrun the sky. 2:41 and 33 seconds p.m. 1 rocket impacts 90 meters off Tulsa's bow. The splash is high enough to paint the deck with salt water and ice. A deckhand is thrown to a knee, not injured. The ship keeps moving. 2:42 p.m., third wave inbound. Another 27. This is the moment the enemy believes will break the patrol. But at 2:42 p.m., something changes. A new capability reveals itself, already nearby. A U.S. Marine Corps F-35B detachment from an amphibious ship south of Tsushima is already airborne on a routine CAP. Call sign, Vandal 1 to 1 and 1 to 2. They're closer than anyone expected, 92 nautical miles out. And they're carrying the weapon that ends rocket artillery, precision glide bombs with network targeting. In the next 6 minutes, the turning point arrives, and it's not the last interceptor. It's the first bomb on the tubes. Comment the word justice if you believe firing 81 rockets at ships demands accountability, not statements. 2:43 p.m., Vandal 1 to 1 checks in. Trident Actual Vandal flight. 2 F-35B on station. Weapons, SDB-2 GBU 54. Fuel, 7.2. Request target. Trident actual, Vandal, you're clear to prosecute coastal launchers. Stand by for grids from Lantern. 2:44 p.m., Lantern P8 fuses surface radar returns with IR satellite cues and shipboard spy tracks. It doesn't need to see the launchers visually. It needs the launch points, and rocket launch points are loud, if you know where to listen. At 2:45 p.m., the first surgical strike begins. Not random violence. Key advantage first. The enemy's advantage is their coastal radar cue and their ability to reload and fire again. 2:45 p.m., Vandal 1-2 rolls in at 24,000 feet, releases 2 SDB-2s on a coastal radar station near Tonkan. The bombs glide low, quiet, correcting mid-course. 2:45 and 37 seconds p.m., the radar building takes a tight, contained detonation. Antenna mast folds. The emitter goes dark. The rockets lose their mid-course refinement. In the same minute, Vandal 1-1 receives the first confirmed launcher grid. Battery red, 9 tubes, in a revetment line 1.8 kilometers inland from the shore. He doesn't hesitate. Rifle, 2 away. 2 SDB-2s drop, glide, and strike the revetments like scalpels. Launch rails snap. Ammo trucks ignite. A secondary cook-off begins, sharp pops, then a sustained burn. Type yes if you want to see all targets hit at once, because the strike package is about to synchronize, and the map is about to go black. 2:46 p.m., Blade 4-1 and 4-2 are now airborne, pushing supersonic over the East China Sea corridor, refuel scheduled in 11 minutes. Raptor 2-1 and 2-2 move ahead, scanning for coastal SAMs, because North Korea doesn't let aircraft hunt artillery without trying to shoot back. 2:47 p.m., Aegis-06 SAM radar blinks on near Wonsan. Raptor 2-1 calls it. Search radar active. Bearing 305. He doesn't wait for launch. He launches an AGM-88 HARM. Magnum. The missile climbs, then dives like a predator. The radar dies. The air corridor opens. 2:48 p.m. On the sea, the rocket storm stops. Not because the enemy is merciful, but because the ships have survived the 3-wave mission and the launchers are now repositioning for reload. The ships breathe but they don't relax. Teo Park transmits. Assess damage, minor. Continue track. We are still in weapons engagement zone. Maintain readiness. An eternity in combat is the quiet after the last incoming, because you don't know if the next wave is already in the tubes. At 2:49 p.m., the main combat montage begins. Relentless escalation, clear geometry. The trap dynamic is simple. The launchers must either stay near the coast to range the sea, or retreat inland to hide. If they stay, they die from air-delivered precision. If they retreat, they funnel into known road cuts, tunnel mouths and valley choke points, already mapped. 2:49 p.m., Gray Fox MQ-9 arrives on the coast fringe, watching thermal signatures on dirt roads. It spots 3 launcher vehicles moving in column, speed 34 km per hour, heading toward a tunnel complex near Cowan. It tags them. It pushes the feed to Vandal and Blade. 2:50 p.m., Vandal 1-1 strikes the lead vehicle with a GBU-54 laser JDM. The blast is controlled, direct. The vehicle stops. The column jams behind it. 2:51 p.m., Blade 4-2 checks in, now on tanker track with Cedar, 19,000 feet, refueling for 90 seconds. Then he's off the boom and turning north. 2:52 p.m., Raptor 2-2 detects a short-range SAM launch, manpads, near a village edge. He calls it, marks it, avoids it. It isn't always bombs. Sometimes it's denial. He keeps the corridor open. 2:53 p.m., Blade 4-1 enters the coastal belt at 26,000 feet and releases a pair of GBU-39 SDBs onto Battery Blue. Another 9 tubes, identified by Lantern's fused cues and Gray Fox confirmation. The bombs arrive 38 seconds later. 2 revetments crater. A reload truck goes up in a bright, brief flash. So far, 12 launchers gone. No reinforcements yet for the enemy. No safe retreat route. And the clock is still running. Share this with the communities that only ever hear tensions rose. Because what was hidden today was an attempted kill at sea. 2:54 p.m., enemy attempts to adapt. They disperse the remaining launchers into smaller 2-vehicle teams. They move under tree lines. They park near warehouses. They try to disappear inside civilian texture. But they've already made the fatal mistake that cannot be reversed. They fired from surveyed positions that were mapped in real time by ship sensors, airborne ISR, and satellite queuing. The launch points are now permanent. 2:55 p.m. Trident Actual issues the order that closes the trap. Prioritize tunnel mouths. Deny reload. Deny retreat. A submarine-launched Tomahawk is tasked, not at a city, not at a barracks, at a known tunnel entrance used for coastal artillery storage 12 kilometers north of Wonsan. 2:56 p.m. Splash in 6 minutes. The missile is already in flight. 2:57 p.m. Gray Fox identifies another launcher cluster, battery green, moving toward a bridge crossing over a frozen stream. There's only one crossing in that sector for heavy vehicles. That bridge becomes their coffin. Blade 4-2 rolls in. 2 dams. One on the bridge abutment. One on the trailing vehicle. The bridge collapses into the stream bed. The vehicles halt. The crews scatter on foot into open snow patches. Reaction word, comment locked. If you felt the moment the retreat route died. Because from here, nobody escapes quickly. 2:58 p.m. Vandal 1-2 hits a resupply point, ammo crates and fuel, identified by heat and vehicle density. A single bomb. Then a chain of secondaries. 2:59 p.m. The Tomahawk arrives at the tunnel mouth. It doesn't demolish a mountain. It does something more effective. It seals the door. A controlled collapse. A choking cloud of dust. The entrance becomes rubble. Anything inside is trapped. Anything outside has nowhere to go. Too late. 3 p.m. The enemy's final attempt. A small boat swarm leaving a fishing inlet, trying to approach the patrol box to film damage or provoke close-range fire. USS Tulsa doesn't chase. It holds distance. USS Chafee swings its radar and sends a warning. A helicopter, MH-60R, callsign Sabre, launches from Chafee low and fast, 120 knots, skimming wave tops. 3:01 p.m. Sabre hails the boats on Maritime Guard frequency. No response. The boats continue. This is a line crossed, again. A boarding attempt profile. Sabre fires a warning burst into the water. The boats turn back immediately, white wakes curling toward shore. They wanted footage. They got fear. In the next 6 minutes, the last launcher count collapses, because the response isn't one strike. It's a system. 3:02 p.m., Blade 4-1 and 4-2 coordinate simultaneous drops on 2 remaining launch clusters, battery white and battery black, each reduced to mixed surviving tubes and support trucks. 4 SDBs release. 2 separate impacts. 2 separate sets of secondaries. 3:03 p.m. Raptor 2-1 suppresses a brief radar blink near Anbion with a second harm. The air remains open. 3:04 p.m. Gray Fox tracks fleeing crews. Partner intelligence confirms capture points for later interdiction. But the mission isn't to catch every man. It's to remove the tubes. 3:05 p.m. Vandal 1-1 hits 2 isolated launcher vehicles hiding beside a warehouse line. 1 bomb each. No firestorm. Just silence afterward. By 3:10 p.m. it is collapsing fast. 3:06 p.m. Battery count destroyed, 21. 3:07 p.m. Battery count destroyed, 23. 3:08 p.m. Battery count destroyed, 25. 3:09 p.m. A final pair of launcher vehicles tries to push into a coastal cave cut south of Wonsan. They make it 300 meters from the entrance. A last JDAM lands at the mouth. The vehicles are shredded by fragmentation and rockfall. The entrance is blocked. 3:10 p.m. 27 launchers are confirmed gone, destroyed, immobilized, or sealed in place. From the first rocket at 2:31 p.m. to the last confirmed kill at 3:10 p.m. 39 minutes. By 3:10 p.m. it was over. Scoreboard. Enemy. 81 rockets fired in 3 waves. 27 launcher vehicles eliminated or rendered non-functional. 2 coastal radar/targeting nodes destroyed. 1 tunnel complex sealed. Estimated 34 enemy personnel killed in strikes and secondary detonations. 41 vehicles damaged or abandoned, including 9 ammo trucks. Friendly. 0 ships sunk. 0 critical systems lost. 2 sailors wounded on Tulsa from blast concussion and deck impact. 1 sailor treated for shrapnel abrasion on Chafee, returned to duty. 1 MH-60R sustained minor rotor tip abrasion from salt spray and debris, mission capable. The numbers were staggering, not because the sea burned, but because the response time erased a whole coastal rocket problem before evening briefings even started. Global reaction is immediate and predictable. North Korean state media declares victory within the hour, claims the ships fled, claims direct hits, claims, enemy losses. Then the problem, satellite imagery. Fresh burn scars inland. Crater patterns and revetments. Tunnel mouth collapse visible from commercial passes. Thermal signatures fading where launchers used to be. Allies in the region tighten readiness. Japan scrambles additional CAP over the Tsushima Strait. South Korea raises artillery counter-battery alert along the east coast. Civil defense techs go out in coastal towns, short, cold, factual. Adversaries go quiet, not because they're satisfied but because they just watched a textbook demonstration of the kill chain. From sea-based detection to air-delivered elimination, under weather, under political constraint, under time. This incident proved three things. 1. Coastal rocket artillery can threaten ships, but only once if the ships survive the opening. 2. The sea is not a sanctuary for the attacker. Every launch point is a coordinate the moment it fires. 3. Escalation control is not weakness. Precision is dominance, because it can end the fight without widening it. But it also carried a warning. If one rocket had hit Tulsa's mission bay and started a sustained fire, the response would have escalated beyond artillery sights. If a rocket had struck Chafee spy radar arrays, the fleet's air defense umbrella would have been torn open. If the boat swarm had forced close-range lethal fire, the political narrative could have shifted from defense to provocation overnight. It didn't happen because the ships held, the network moved, and the launchers died before they could reload. Final recap timeline. 2:31 p.m., Sea of Japan. North Korea fires 81 rockets at USS Chafee and USS Tulsa. Winter haze. This wasn't a drill. 2:35 p.m., first impacts near Tulsa and Chafee. Distress burst transmitted. 2:37 p.m., counterfire authority granted by Trident Actual. Response machine activates. 2:42 p.m., new capability arrives. F-35BS already nearby. 2:45 p.m., first surgical strike. Coastal radar and first launcher battery destroyed. Turning point begins. 2:49 p.m., trap closes. Retreat routes mapped and denied. 2:56 p.m., tunnel mouth targeted, later sealed. 3:10 p.m., 27 launchers confirmed gone. By 3:10 p.m. it was over. 2:31 p.m. was the opening salvo. 2:45 p.m. was the reversal. 3:10 p.m. was the cutoff. Hit like if you want these incidents recorded before they're diluted into tensions. Comment this question: which fatal mistake doomed the launchers? Timing, dispersion, or targeting? Subscribe, because the next time rockets fly at sea, the window will be shorter, the stakes will be higher, and the truth will matter even more.